Well, Miss Trinity, what's going on?
Not much. I'm just here to have some fun.
Yeah, it looks like you got a nice head of hair here. So tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing.
So I'm gonna go through and panel in different shades and melt different pinks in because I want to work and style with her natural texture just so that it all creates that almost like a watercolor, which is like splashed on certain parts of her hair.
So tell me the process. What are you going to do first?
So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna lighten all around different places, a lot in the front, some here in the back, underneath, and then after I rinse that out, go in and make my different shades of pink.
Let's spin around and show what's going on texture-wise and everything.
It's all her natural.
It's all her natural hair. This is what we're dealing with. I mean, obviously she's not too dark on her roots, so it should lift pretty well.
Yep.
Okay. So there you go. Well, I'm excited to see what we got going on here. And then tell us a little bit about the look and the style.
I almost kind of want to throw it out a little bit, but a controlled throw.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, oh yeah.
All right.
And as far as makeup and wardrobe, I'm not gonna go too crazy on the makeup. Like I kind of want her to have that disheveled, messy, just hard, kind of like edgy streak.
Gotcha.
I kind of like a mess because I'm a mess.
Okay, free and loose and sexy, right?
Yes.
Okay, we love it. Okay. Well, good luck. We'll be back to check out these techniques. It should be some fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So right now I'm just mixing up some lightener so I can pull up those panels that I want to do so I can put the pinks on them. I'm taking section by section what I like to call color blocking. So as I go up with the foils, I'm going to kind of come up at an angle just so that I can create different shifts once I style it and she has that texture. You're just going to kind of see different pinks everywhere. So I'm just continuing to pull my very, very fine pieces down and I'm going to come up with them. I'm angling, so they're getting kind of smaller and smaller as I go up her head. And then as I apply bleach, I'm gonna keep it a little further from that not keratinized zone because it's going to lift a lot faster. It lifts way different than the ends of the hair. Just make sure we fully saturate that strand. It's very important to take thin sections, otherwise you're not going to get an even lift, and no good comes from an uneven lift. So I'm just gonna continue coming up to a point to right about here, and then I'm gonna move up into the front and the sides to create kind of the same color blocking as I have in the back. Okay, so we were looking to get this lifted to a pale yellow. I used the white Lightening with 20 volume and the plant-based bonder, and we have achieved that. The reason for getting it so pale is to ensure that the vivids take evenly and they don't get muddy. And I also wanted her to be able to have some pastel in there, and that requires it getting very, very light. So we've achieved that, and now it's time to rinse that out. I'm gonna start out shampooing her with the Color Keeper shampoo. And then after we get this all lathered through, I'm gonna go in with the Violet Toning shampoo, just to kind of even out any brassiness that might be left over, because I just want a really, really clean canvas for that vivid. When you use any kind of shampoos that have color additives in them or anything, especially the violet, this is just gonna pull out that last little bit of yellowy that we don't want that in there, because we want a really, really just clean white palette so those vivids really pop. Then I'm gonna squeeze out any like residual moisture that's in there, kind of just get all that wetness out of it. And then I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna spray with the leave-in to even out the porosity of that blonde and the pH, which will also give it a cleaner palette for that pink to go on. So it really just takes evenly and we don't have any splotches or muddiness of color, because we want it to be really, really vibrant. The hair is so smooth. The lightener is amazing. It's so gentle on the hair. I don't have any kind of fraying or dryness to the hair. So now I'm gonna go in right over the top of that leave-in conditioner with the Color Keeper conditioner. Just again, more sealing down that cuticle, normalizing the pH so that we just have a really, really, really nice base to put those vivids on. So now we have all these fun panels in here that we can now go in and paint our different shades of pink on. It's a perfectly clean palette. There's no splotches, there's no banding. Her hair texture is beautiful. It is not stretching, intact. It's perfect. So right now I'm just gonna create different shades of pink. I'm gonna go in with just intense pink for the root area, and then I'm going to slowly pastel it out, make it lighter and lighter and lighter so it creates that nice melt and gradient. So by the time I get to her ends, it's a really nice pastel pink. I'm gonna take it down basically 0.5 ounce difference in each shade so it just creates that perfect nice melt. And I like to use the paper towels to paint my colors on because it's a white canvas and it's gonna show exactly what it's gonna look like. Here's my first gradient of a lighter pink. I'm just gonna slowly step down. For the lightest one, I'm literally only going to put a drop in here because it is super concentrated and I really wanna see that bright pastel light pink. I'm gonna go in with the drops in each of my mixtures to rebond that hair and keep it healthy and strong. So we're gonna do about 2 drops per. So I'm using the Enjoy Creamy Pomade base around her hairline. That's gonna keep any of that pink from staining her and it will not cause any kind of allergy. Completely natural, it's not gonna break her out. Okay, so now that I've applied the creamy pomade base all around her hairline to prevent any kind of staining, I am going to go in with my first section. Pretty thin still, maybe not quite as thin as when I was lightening it. And I'm going to over direct that piece backwards. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want the melt of all the different pinks that I mixed up previously to just fall and shift almost like a holographic would shift in the light. And then I'm gonna start out with my darkest pink just up at the root here. So I'm just going in, I'm not pushing too hard because I don't want to create any harsh lines. I want it to melt perfectly. And that's also the reason for the smaller section. And I'm gonna go down and I'm gonna paint that pastel at the very end. The reason that I go in with the pastel before I melt the middle is just because I want to have control. I don't want to paint any of the dark too far down. And once I get that nice and saturated, I will go back in with my next darkest pink and kind of melt that. Thankfully, this color line is amazing and it melts very, very well. And then the second to lightest pink. Now I stop right short of that pastel because most of the time I'm gonna kind of take it right to it, and then I'm gonna take my finger and kind of melt that all together so I don't shift too much of that dark into that pastel. So I'm rinsing her hair out. It's at a comfortable temperature. Once I get all these strands rinsed out, I'm going to make sure the pH of her hair is back to normal by using the Formula 18 leave-in conditioner. And as I'm rinsing, I'm just making sure to hold the hair up because I don't want any of the darker pigment to bleed into that nice pastel pink we have at the end. So I use this leave-in conditioning spray in order to level the pH and lock in that pigment because we want her to be able to enjoy it for longer than a day. The hair feels amazing. There's no stretching, no dryness. It just feels soft and I can run my fingers right through it. The melt came out exactly as I wanted it. I love the way that the Vivids performed. It's the perfect gradient. I couldn't have asked for any better products to work with. Oh, the bleach is amazing. I've officially found a new favorite bleach. I don't ever want to use anything else. It maintained the health of her hair. It lifted flawlessly without any kind of heat or any outside interference. It just worked on its own. It's performed better than any whitener I've used in the last several years, so I was super pleased.
My hair looks amazing, it feels great, and the products that she used were amazing, and honestly, I want to buy them myself.
Thank you so much for being with us here today for the Hairdresser Power Salon Showcase. And be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode.